I suppose. All right, before we welcome to the studio our next guest, Sahand Sahebdivani, we are going to show you a little clip of one of his storytelling plays, one that he does together with Raphael Rodon, and it is called The Kingdom of Fire and Clay. Stay with us.
That was 4-1. It wasn't 5-1. You're cheating.
Count the numbers, man. I never cheat.
You were cheating there. You just... Yes, you see? This is one.
He's scrutinizing the players. Gonna build a checkpoint here?
It's so beautiful, isn't it? This Iranian politeness, this poetic soul, to see it in action. You know, it reminds me something my grandmother used to say. A friend with everyone, Sahand, is a friend with no one.
That reminds me of something my grandmother used to say. Friendship can have all directions, but it's animosity that has a very clear direction.
Ooh. Well, you know what my grandmother would say about that? You know, people are always looking for a savior. You know the phenomenon?
That was a little clip from the play, the storytelling play, The Kingdom of Fire and Clay. Did I say storytelling clay? I meant play. Kingdom of Fire and Clay.
Something altogether different.
And it is together with Sahand Sahebdivani and Raphael Rodon. And Sahand is here in the studio with us. Welcome, Sahand.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. This is one of the storytelling plays that you are in. Of course, you're doing lots more. You're the founder of the Mezrab Cultural Center.
Yes, lots of storytelling happening there.
Lots of storytelling happening there. You founded recently the Storytelling School.
Yes,
right.
And in fact, this weekend we're having our first course of that particular school.
Excellent. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. And also there's a crowdfunding effort going on to help you guys move to a new space.
Yeah, and we need the crowdfunding to happen because I already signed the lease this week.
You already signed the
And
lease.
even though we haven't reached 100%, so I might need to borrow some extra money with people who maybe pop you in the kneecaps if you don't pay them back. So people, please, give us money.
And that is going to move the whole Mezrab, not only the storytelling.
Yeah. No. The whole thing, like the music, the storytelling, everything that happens in the Mezrab.
Before we get there, let's talk about the storytelling school.
Okay.
You guys already did storytelling?
I've been doing storytelling for about 15 years.
15 years,
yes.
But is it now the first time that people like Nicola and me can also start doing storytelling?
Well, there is a bunch of schools, not so many, definitely not in Amsterdam. I believe that people do need a school because people are interested in storytelling, more and more people are trying it out. And people kind of self-teach, which is great, it's amazing, but if you have someone who's been doing stories for many, many, many years, why not offer a school?
If you wanted to learn to paint, you'd go to school to do that, right?
Exactly.
Most of the
There's
time
art academies, there's schools for theatre, for music, and storytelling isn't it's an art form.
Also an art
on
form
itself.
which needs to be refined.
Exactly. I think only comic book writing is the only thing that doesn't have a school. But
do you think that people underestimate storytelling, and that is why nobody thought of
I think people don't know storytelling.
Okay.
They associate storytelling with something very old-fashioned, or something that Uncle does when he goes to the cafe and he's bragging about the big fish that he caught. Uncle, stop telling the stories. That's what I think storytelling is. So to see it as a proper art form. It also means that more people have to do it as a proper art form. When I started, there were no theatres that would book storytellers, and now places like the Podium Mosaic, which is a huge space, it can seat almost 300 people. There they book storytellers, so we can tell our students, hey, listen, this is a proper thing. It also means that you can do proper shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you what storytelling is, what people can expect, and the reason is because Nicola and I both went to see the play The Kingdom of Fire and Clay,
right? Which was amazing, by the way.
Which was amazing, but it was
much.
also completely not what I expected. So to an outsider who knows theater and who knows his uncle telling a story, how are those two combined into what you guys do?
Well, I guess what we do is something a little bit in between, because storytelling, it can be as simple as someone just standing up in a cafe and telling an engaging story. It can be huge. It can be someone making a full production on stage. Like, for instance, I myself, when I get on stage, sometimes I have a 7-head band backing me up, so 7 musicians just for the one storyteller. It can be as short as 10 minutes or as big as 2.5 hours. In Iran, the professional storytellers used to tell stories that would last a week.
Wow.
And every night they would tell a different part. So storytelling can be anything, really. really. The big difference between storytelling and theatre is that a storyteller is much more involved with his audience rather than someone who's an actor who just pretends, he's a certain person. And even when he looks at the audience, he's not really seeing the audience. We might really go into the audience and have proper interaction with the audience. That's, I think, the main difference.
Because that was my comment to you just now when I went to see, I'm calling it the play. It's not. When I went to hear the story, I said to you, it's almost as if you weren't even acting, which you weren't, were you?
Not quite. Even though I have to say that particular play adds a lot of acting elements because Raphael, who's a very good friend of mine, he's a trained actor. So he added quite some acting elements. I myself, I haven't studied acting. So what I do is just, I'm myself. Even though in that particular play, I had to become very angry, which is something I never do in real life. So there was that bit of acting in it.
So can you explain to us what is the approach in the storytelling school? What are the things you guys pay attention to? What is the philosophy?
There is a bunch of people who do storytelling, and most of them that we've seen, they tell very old stories, which I don't think are very relevant to the world of today. Now, I myself, I got into storytelling because I'm a political refugee in this country. My parents, they moved to the Netherlands 31 years ago. And I realized that storytelling can be a vehicle to talk about things that are relevant today. So when we talk with our students, when we teach them, one of the main things that we want them to focus on is how does your story that you want to tell influence your life? How does your life influence your story? So what is your personal thing in your story? And also, how is it relevant to the world of today? There's all these things happening in the world. Find your relevance, find your own voice, rather than, just to teach them how to tell an old story very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is the goal if I would join this school? Do I become a professional storyteller?
Definitely. We are looking for people who really want to become, they're dedicated to storytelling. And we don't want to turn you into a copy of us. So the goal is for you to become a professional, but also to become the best storyteller that you can be. So that's my aim, at least, to find the storyteller within you.
What about people who don't want to be a professional storyteller, but who think storytelling can help them in the job that they do?
Well, actually, I have many students who come to me from that background. Many of them are school teachers, for instance, who stand in front of a class and they want to be able to tell stories more engagingly because they want their stories to affect the people that they teach. Public speakers, politicians, anyone really, maybe in a business environment who wants to be able to tell his ideas in a more convincing way to his colleagues. Those are people who could absolutely all benefit from a bit of storytelling. Yeah.
Well, you don't need any more lessons in storytelling yourself, do you, Sahand? Because you've been awarded the title of Storyteller of the Year, and that was in 2014.
That was 2014. I gave away my title to the next one just 2.5 weeks ago. So I'm a retired Storyteller of the Year. But
you can't have it every year.
No. You can only have it once. So the fact that I had it means that I've peaked. I'm not over my peak. It's all downhill from here.
In order to prepare for the storytelling school, and the huge number of people who are going to sign up, of course, we need more space, right? The Mezrab needs more space.
Yes.
So tell us about it. I mean, where do you intend to move and how far are you with the crowdfunding?
Well, the Mezrab is just this little thing that we started, me and my parents, and we realized that more and more people wanted a place in Amsterdam to tell stories, to listen to music, and we're already now moving to our 4th space. And we have a particular goal, and we're on 82%, and we've got 11 more days for the final 18%.
Getting there.
So people who they can go to For de Kunst, that's the site.
Yeah.
And we need those donations to come in.
Just that last little bit of a push.
And,
Will your mum still make soup for everybody though?
Absolutely.
If there's a huge crowd.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's the concern, you know?
Yeah. My mum will make the soup. She'll have a team though in the new Mezrab to help her out. Yeah.
So the objective is 25,000 euros.
Yes.
And are you going to move all the way around Amsterdam for that money?
We're gonna move to the door next to the one that we already have.
All right.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a huge move. It's going to be a big move for us when it comes to space, but it's instead of D, it's bell number B. That's the change.
And that's at the Café Packhouse Wilhelmina.
Yeah, that's the one we're taking over.
And that is right on the Veemkade, more or less next to Pakhuis de Zwijger, where we are right now.
Yeah, I walked to the studio here, yeah.
All right.